Hello and welcome to another part of our Azure Developer Associate Ultimate course. We are starting with question number 39 in this part of our series. You are developing an Azure solution to collect inventory data from thousands of stores located around the world. Each store location will send the inventory data hourly to an Azure Blob storage account for processing. The solution must meet the following requirements: begin processing when data is saved to Azure Blob Storage, filter data based on store location information, trigger an Azure Logic app to process the data for output to Azure Cosmos DB, enable high availability and geographic distribution, allow 24 hours for retries, and implement an exponential backoff data processing. You need to configure the solution. What should you implement? Now you have the technologies mentioned as Azure Event Hub, Azure Event Grid, Azure Service Bus, Azure Blob Storage, Azure App Service, and Azure Logic App. Now the first part of the question is talking about what would be the event source. Now friends, data is uploaded hourly from each store, so blob storage events can be used to start the workflow as soon as files are added. Now the next part of the question is talking about event receiver. You should make use of Azure Event Grid here as it is designed to react to blob storage events in near real time. It's highly available, globally distributed, and supports retry with exponential backoff for up to 24 hours. Event Grid can also filter events based on metadata, for example, store location, before forwarding them. Now the last part of the question is talking about event handler. And you can use logic apps to process the incoming data and insert it into Azure Cosmos DB. Now friends, Event Grid can directly trigger a logic app via webhook or built-in connector. Let's look at question number 40. You manage an Azure Cosmos DB for a NoSQL API account named account1. The account contains a database named DB1, which contains a container named container1. You configure account 1 with a session consistency level. You plan to develop an application named app1 that will access container 1. Individual instances of app1 must perform reads and writes. App1 must allow multiple nodes to participate in the same session. You need to configure an object to share the session token between the nodes. Which object should you use? Your options are document response, request options, feed options, connection policy. Request options object allows you to specify options for individual requests, including the session token. By setting the session token in the request options, you can ensure that multiple nodes in your application share the same session token, thereby maintaining session consistency across those nodes. Let's look at question number 41. You have a static website hosted in an Azure storage account named storage1. You access the website by using a URL that ends with the web.core.windows.net suffix. You plan to configure the website to be accessible through the URL www.contoso.com. The website must be accessible during the configuration. The contoso.com zone is hosted in Azure DNS. You need to complete the website configuration. Which 4 actions should you perform in sequence? And friends, we are talking about domain name configuration steps here. And your options are: create a CNAME record as verify.www.contoso.com in Azure DNS, set the custom domain name of storage1 to www.contoso.com, identify the host name of the storage endpoint of the website, create an A record as verify.www.contoso.com in Azure DNS, create a CNAME record www.contoso.com in Azure DNS. Now friends, you should start with identifying the host name of the storage endpoint of the website. This will be followed by creating a CNAME record as verified.www.contoso.com in Azure DNS. The next step would be to set the custom domain name of storage to www.contoso.com, which will trigger Azure to check the as verified CNAME for validation. And friends, the final step would be to create a CNAME record www.contoso.com in Azure DNS. Folks, there is a link on your screen and I would highly recommend you to go through it to understand this setup in more detail. Next question. You manage an Azure storage account named Storage 1. You plan to load 1 million blobs into Storage 1. You must assign key value pairs to blobs so that both keys and their values are automatically indexed and searchable by using the built-in services of Storage 1. You need to run the command to assign key value pairs. Which command should you run? Your options are update AZ storage blob service property, set AZ storage blob tag, AZ storage blob service dash properties update, set AZ storage blob content. Now friends, Azure Storage supports blob indexing via blob tags. These are key value attributes stored with the blob metadata that are automatically indexed for server-side search using the find blobs by tags features. And in Azure PowerShell, the commandlet for assigning tags is set AZ storage blob tag. Now update AZ storage blob service property is used to update service-wide properties which are like codes, metrics, delete retention of a storage account. Now AZ storage blob service properties update is the Azure CLI equivalent of the previous PowerShell command. And set AZ storage blob content uploads a file to a blob but does not directly assign tags. Next question. You have an Azure blob storage account named account 1. You plan to grant permissions for access to blobs in account 1 by using a combination of a shared access signature token and a stored access policy. You must set the duration of the token validity by using the stored access policy. You need to complete the configuration of the stored access policy and generate the shared access signature token. Which token setting and token type should you use? The question is talking about storage access configuration. And the first part is token setting to configure. Your options are protocol, source IP, and permissions. Now friends, a stored access policy in Azure Storage is defined at the container level and allows you to set start and expiry times of tokens, set permissions like read, write, delete, list, etc., and associate one or more SaaS tokens to it. Now the next part of the question is talking about the token type to generate, and your options are account shared access signatures, blob container shared access signatures, user delegations shared access signatures. Now folks, when you create a SaaS linked to a stored access policy, the permissions are taken from the policy, not the token directly. The duration, which is the validity, is also taken from the stored access policies start and expiry times. And to use a stored access policy for blobs, you must generate a blob container SaaS. Now friends, account SaaS operates at the storage account level, but stored access policies cannot be used with account SaaS. And user delegation SaaS is for intra ID delegation, but is not tied to stored access policies. Let's look at question number 44 of the series. You are developing a solution for a public facing API. The API backend is hosted in an Azure App Service instance. You have implemented a RESTful service for the API backend. You must configure backend authentication for the API management service instance. The solution you choose is you configure basic gateway credentials for the Azure resource. Does this solution meet the goal? You need to tell whether this is right or wrong. And friends, this is an incorrect solution. Basic gateway credentials in Azure API management are used for securing API management's access to backend services when those services require basic authentication. However, we are talking about a public facing API and you would typically use managed identity with Entra ID authentication or client certificate authentication or subscription key and OAuth 2.0 depending on the scenario. So friends, I hope you now understand why I have chosen this solution as an incorrect solution. But if you still have any doubts, please post them in the comment section. Let's look at question number 45. You have a Linux container based console application that uploads image files from customer sites all over the world. A backend system that runs on Azure Virtual Machine processes the images by using the Azure Blobs API. You are not permitted to make changes to the application. Some customer sites only have phone-based internet connections. You need to configure the console application to access the images. What should you use? Your options are Azure Blobfuse, Azure Disks, Azure Storage Network File System 3.0 support, Azure Files. And friends, you should make use of Azure Blobfuse in this case. Now, Blobfuse is a virtual file system driver for Azure Blob Storage that lets you mount a blob container as if it were a local file system inside your Linux container. Now, friends, Azure disks are attached to a VM. Azure Storage NFS 3.0 is used for large-scale analytics and HPC workloads, and Azure Files is a SMB or NFS-based file share, but the backend here uses Azure Blob Storage API. Next question. You are developing a static website hosted on Azure Blob Storage. You create a storage account and enable static website hosting. The website must support the following requirements: custom domain name, custom header values for all responses, custom SSL certificate. You need to implement the static website. What should you configure? The first part of the question is talking about custom domain name. And your options are blob index tags, Azure Content Delivery Network, cross-origin resource sharing, Azure Storage Service Encryption. Now friends, a static website hosted directly on Azure Blob Storage supports static file serving and optional custom error and index pages. However, Blob Storage static websites by themselves do not natively support custom SSL certificate, setting custom HTTP headers for all responses, or mapping a custom domain name with HTTPS. The solution is to place Azure CDN in front of the Blob Storage endpoint. Now the CDN can map custom domain to the blob endpoint. Next part of the question is talking about the custom header values, and you have the same four options. And friends, here also you will utilize CDN. CDN allows adding or modifying HTTP response headers globally. Now the final part of the question is talking about custom SSL certificate. And this can also be implemented using Content Delivery Network. CDN supports HTTPS with your own SSL cert or a free managed certificate. There is a link on your screen. Go through the link to understand more about how you can use Content Delivery Network to implement a custom SSL certificate in this case. Friends, if you are liking the content, do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe the channel. Let's look at question number 47 of the series. You develop a web application that provides access to legal documents that are stored on Azure Blob Storage with version level immutability policies. Documents are protected with both time-based policies and legal hold policies. All time-based retention policies have the allow protected append rights property enabled. You have a requirement to prevent the user from attempting to perform operations that would fail only when a legal hold is in effect and when all other policies are expired. You need to meet the requirement. Which two operations should you prevent? Your options are adding data to documents, deleting documents, creating documents, overwriting existing documents. Now friends, a legal hold stores immutable data until the legal hold is explicitly cleared. When a legal hold is set, objects can be created and read, but not modified or deleted, making option B and option D as the correct choice here. Now, friends, go through the link on your screen to read more about time-based retention policies and legal hold policies, which is the crust of this question. Next question. You are updating an application that stores data on Azure and uses Azure Cosmos DB for storage. The application stores data in multiple documents associated with a single username. The application requires the ability to update multiple documents for a username in a single ACID operation. You need to configure Azure Cosmos DB. Which two actions should you perform? Your options are: create a collection sharded on username to store documents, configure Azure Cosmos DB to use the Gremlin API, create an unsharded collection to store documents, configure Azure Cosmos DB to use the MongoDB API. Now, folks, to update multiple documents for a username in a single ACID operation in Azure Cosmos DB, you need to ensure that the documents are stored in the same logical partition. To do this, you should create an unsharded collection to store documents. This will ensure that all documents are stored in the same logical partition, and you should then configure Azure Cosmos DB to use the MongoDB API. The MongoDB API supports multi-document ACID transactions, which allow you to update multiple documents in a single atomic operation. Question number 49 of the series. You are developing an Azure service application that processes queue data when it receives a message from a mobile application. Messages may not be sent to the service consistently. You have the following requirements. Queue size must not grow larger than 80 gigabytes. Use first in first out ordering of messages. Minimize Azure costs. You need to implement the messaging solution. And the solution you choose is: use the .NET API to add a message to an Azure storage queue from the mobile application. Create an Azure function that uses an Azure storage queue trigger. Does this meet the goal? You need to tell whether this is right or wrong. And friends, this is again an incorrect solution. You will need to use Azure Service Bus Queue with sessions in this case. This ensures guaranteed FIFO ordering, message sessions to group ordered messages, and built-in retries and dead lettering. Let's look at question number 50 of the series. You implement an Azure solution to include Azure Cosmos DB, the latest Azure Cosmos DB SDK, and the core SQL API. You also implement a change feed processor on a new container instance by using the Azure Functions trigger for Azure Cosmos DB. A large batch of document continues to fail when reading one of the documents in the batch. The same batch of documents is continuously retired by the triggered function, and a new batch of documents must be read. You need to implement the change feed processor to read the documents. Which feature should you implement? Now, the first part of the question is talking about read a new batch of documents while keeping track of the failing batch of documents. Your options are lease container, dead letter queue, lifecycle modifications, change feed estimator. Friends, you want to keep track of failed documents so they don't block the rest of the processing and they are stored separately in dead letter queue. Lease container is what the change feed processor uses to maintain a state. It tracks the last read position for each partition. And change feed estimator is a feature or API that measures how many items are left to process in the change feed. Now, the next part of the question is talking about what feature should you use to handle errors in the change feed processor. Again, you have the same four options. Now, when you want to manage processing errors like retries, cleanup, special processing, you will still use a dead letter queue pattern. This way, you send failed documents to a dead letter container or queue for later inspection instead of retrying infinitely. Now, friends, lifecycle modifications refer to handling time to live and item deletion in Cosmos DB to manage document lifecycle automatically. So folks, that's all for this part of the series. If you have not watched the previous parts of the series yet, then link to the playlist is available in the description section of the video. I'll see you soon in further parts of our Microsoft Certified Azure Developer Associate Ultimate course. Make sure to subscribe the channel and hit that bell notification icon so you are up to date on when the next part of the series is released.